Who were you listening to back in the late 80s? What drummers were you like, man, that person's great?
Well, it went from like 0 to 100. So it started off like I didn't know anybody in the bands. Like I don't know who's in Guns N' Roses or blah blah blah. Then I started learning names like, oh, Steven Adler, Alex Van Halen, Tommy Lee, Tico Torres. Like that's when all the hair metal stuff was like that was the stuff. And then I kind of like figured out that most of those beats in general were kind of the same thing. And I'm like, okay, well, I can do that. Like, I want to challenge myself to something else. And this is a funny story. I'll try to make it quick, but I remember getting into like Chick Corea Electric Band. It was like fusion, right? It wasn't like, Elvin. It was fusion. And I could kind of relate to it because a lot of it kind of had a backbeat and like electric guitar. And it was kind of like rock on steroids. So it was a natural progression from like Rush, right? Oh, I also went through a really hardcore Rush phase for like probably 2 years, maybe less, maybe a year. But like, remember when you'd have a cassette tape like travel case thing?
Yes.
So, and it held like maybe 20 tapes. Every slot was a Rush
Really?
tape in chronological order. And I knew every fill to every record and da 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 da. But then I hear Weckl and Vinny and Gad and those guys. And I'm like, whoa, what is going on here? And so I start buying Dave Weckl tapes. So he did a record called Master Plan. So I'm in my music class in seventh grade, and I have the cassette tape in my Walkman on my desktop. And I'm like trying to figure out what this guy is doing, right? And my music teacher, Mrs. Montero, comes over to me, grabs the tape, and goes, "Why do you have this?" And got kind of like weird. And I was like, took my headphones off. I go, "What?" And she's like, "Why do you have this tape?" And I was like, "Because I'm learning how to play the drums, and this guy is incredible. His name's Dave Weckl." She goes, "That's my boyfriend."
What?
So my music teacher was dating Dave because he lived in Bridgeport,
Oh,
Connecticut at
that's
the time.
right. Yes.
And him and Joel Rosenblatt were roommates. And Joel's become a good friend. And he was like, "Oh yeah, I totally met your music teacher. I know exactly who you're talking about." I was like, "This is crazy. Like, that's very strange that this one drummer I'm trying to shed, my music teacher is dating."